What's up?
What's up? I'm
Hey,
awake.
we're after 4 weeks of the Awake series. If you woke up,
Hopefully we're awake.
you were telling me the other day that being a dad is super easy.
yeah. It is. That's why I tell Jen all the time. She's always so excited to hear that.
Yeah. We got to talk about parenting. I mean, that's where the focus was. I think it related to, I heard people, grandparents and uncles, I think kids who were in the audience on Sunday, as we talked about what parenting could look like or some things to consider, were able to take some stuff away. I had somebody said, hey, I'm on the opposite side where I am caring for my parents who are older now, and what does that responsibility look like, right? How, in a sense, they were saying, how do I honor God with that? Which I thought was very cool. But I think you and I talk a lot about, we want to enjoy parenting. There's this mindset within the current culture, it's tough, it's difficult, and it is. But we also got to talk about what a joy, man. What a joy our kids can be, and to be engaged. And anything that takes time and responsibility, yeah, it's hard, but that's where the biggest payoffs are too.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I think, we talked a little bit about that. There's times when your kids get older, you put all that effort in those first 5-6 years, and then you're like, okay, good, they're in school now. I just have to drop them off. That's a really dangerous game to play, to do it that way. And then, I try to find joy in all the things. It's not easy. It's not easy doing it, drop off and pick up and practices, and even getting them to church. Like, it's just, sometimes it would be easier if, if we took a weekend off or something, which doesn't happen much for you or I don't think.
But you got to celebrate the good things as much as you go to the ER, or they might struggle in school or relationally, or you might have tension with them. Man, you got to celebrate when they serve, or they are building friendships, or they choose good faith things, or they're wanting to be engaged with a team, and they're giving good effort. We got to celebrate those things instead of just looking at the hard pieces.
Well, I think I've learned this a little bit from you. You and your dad, I think that you learn from your dad, I think, to find the fun in whatever thing you're doing. I feel like there are times, I can't prove it, but I think there's times when my kids say they're sick because they know if they go to the doctor with us, they're going to get one-on-one time with us, and then they're probably going to get a lunch out of it or an ice cream out of it. But I can't prove that, because they know that, hey, we're probably gonna do something fun.
Yeah, they figure out how to work the system, and they realize that you're going to spend that time with them. That you want to spend that time with them. You want to do family. And again, I just encountered a lot of people who are in the midst of family with kids at all different ages. And there's this, when we get to this next step, or when my kids are independent, when I can go do what I want. Listen, a lot of us, man, we had our youth and our young adulthood and those things. Like, let's invest in the kids. It's a blast.
Yeah, no, you have to enjoy every stage. So if you're in high school, I know you're waiting to go to college, but enjoy high school. Finish strong. We have a friend that's a senior in high school this year, and her goal is to do all of the things. She didn't do all the things the other 3 years. This year, she wants to be all in. She's trying to be committed to that. If you're single in college and you really want to get married, you want to be in a relationship, you want those things, that's great that you want those things. Don't miss out on being single. Don't miss out on the freedom that you have and some of those things. If you just got married, enjoy that season. And so you have to enjoy all the seasons, and don't think you're wasting time in a certain season. God knows where you're at. And so I went through some seasons really fast. Like, I thought I was going to be single forever, and a month later I was married. And so the seasons can change.
But we want to teach people to enjoy that.
Right.
And parenting is one of those seasons. We've had a lot of conversation and heard a lot of conversation the last year, maybe a little more, about the word legacy. We've talked about it here. We've heard some great speakers at Global Leadership Summit. And I'm just reminded again, legacy, the greatest legacy we have is people. It's what we build into people. That's the thing that lasts. And the greatest opportunity for those that are parents or want to be parents, I believe, is with our kids, and to leave a legacy of faith. Right. Proverbs talks about leaving a good parent, in a sense, leaves an inheritance. Well, the first part of that inheritance is faith. To pass that on, more than anything, I want to pass that on. And so I don't want to miss it going, I got to build some legacy for myself out here and have some name as whatever, in business, as a pastor, as a leader, and miss the opportunity to invest at home, because that's the most important legacy.
Absolutely. And some of us have two family trees, right? We have one family that's genetic, and like my daughter's been doing her family tree back a little bit. Hard for us to do. Had to reach out to some family members I haven't talked to in a while to figure out some of the pieces in my genetic history. But if you and I were to talk about my spiritual history, I could talk for quite a bit longer because I can think of the people that poured into me, yeah, including my parents and family members for sure. But I can think of a lot of spiritual grandparents and great grandparents that have invested in me. So yeah, we have a legacy to leave. And yeah, we need to be really honest. Some of us are going to get inheritances that are property or, financial or some of those things that might happen for you. But the best legacy is your spiritual legacy that, hey, I'm connected to the family of God because someone shared their faith with me.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
What's been amazing, I want to say this, you, out of your family tree and background, and like you said, some of those people have spiritually mentored. There was other pieces that were absent. You have done as well as anybody that I've seen, going to seek out the people who could influence you. How do I learn from that? How do I learn from other fathers, from other leaders, pastors? You have gone and sought out mentors. And so to the parents out there, you need to find people. There's people online, there's pastors, there's books. We have people within our church who have done family well. Go and learn from them. What was your rhythm? How did you make it fun? How did you laugh about some of the hard things? How did you give directions or begin to give different pieces of independence? And so as we talked about seasons earlier, within the life of a parent, as you walk with a child to adulthood, and we said Sunday, we want them to be able to leave, meaning in the best way,
Yes.
in maturity, to be independent. That's the job of a parent. And then hopefully also to love the Lord with all their heart. In fact, that would be first, to love God with all their heart, and then set them up to be their own adult.
Right.
There's some phases within that. You were doing some reading recently, and I love the words that you have for really these three phases within their childhood. And I want to just touch on that. I think it's important for parents to hear this.
Yeah, the first one is caregiving. So the first stage, probably, birth or even pre-birth, right?
Yeah.
In the womb to maybe kindergarten age, preschool age. We're really in that caregiving thing. So we talked a little bit about this on Sunday. Was, you do all the things, right? Like we used to have, there's this big, like, important book, I guess, if you're breastfeeding. It's like a really expensive book about what's in every medication and all this stuff. And we used to it was like a Bible for all the years we had a baby, will this get to the baby or not? And because we just were like hyper focused on what was getting into our kids. And so, it's this caregiving thing where we just have to protect, and raise. And so that's one of the first ones. The second one.
Well, the first one, just on that caregiver piece, we're setting the direction.
Right.
We're making the decisions for our child. We're setting the guardrails. We're saying, this is where we're going. You're going with me. This is what you're wearing.
This is what you're eating.
Yeah, we're the caregiver in those first few years. And then, like you said, as you get into that, like maybe preschool, but a lot like kindergarten, even 5 and 6, it changes a little bit. All of a sudden they begin to have some independence and get some choice. And what's the word for that?
Yeah, I think choice, coaching would be the bigger one. I don't know that you necessarily start by coaching a kindergartner. Maybe it's just more encouraging, but eventually as they get into elementary school, 5th, 6th, and junior high and high school, you become more of that coach. And sometimes, part of the decisions we have to make right now, or at least I feel like I have to make, is, do I let my kid fail at this or not? Because this is a poor choice. Like I could show you text messages. This is a poor choice. This is not what I'm asking you to do. This isn't going to work out well. And that's coaching. And sometimes we have to figure out the right things for them to fail at. And coaching, I don't know. I think coaching can last a long time as long as the relationship allows it to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you might be able to coach your 22-year-old, 23-year-old if your child's letting your son or daughter's letting you do that.
Yeah.
But not everybody gets into college or post-college in that coaching role. There's a different role there.
Yeah, I think as we think about going from the caregiver, I'm making all the decisions, to coaching, you move in those elementary age. Again, they get to make some decisions. They get decisions about what they want to wear. If you have a choice for what you're eating for lunch, again, some of the friends that they begin to choose, but you coach in that, you protect them,
Right.
you give guidance. And then as they get in those teenage years, the coaching, and just like in a normal coaching relationship, the player gets more and more responsibility at times. They get into those junior high and high school years, then they're really making the decisions,
Right.
and you coach on the back end, and you've got to let them succeed or fail. You're still there giving some guardrails, but more and more as they go along, they build trust. You've got to let them make the decisions. And I think somebody said this to me one point, or maybe I read this, and they said, we really pick and choose our battles with our kids. So they might come down wearing something that I'm not a fan of, but I got to ask, like, is it inappropriate? Is it not honoring to God? Is it leading them towards sinful behavior? And sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes you're like, no, we're not wearing that out of the house. And so you have to decide where you give and take and what's really worth a battle. And really, again, back to this lens of through a Christian worldview, are they doing anything wrong here? Or is it just that I don't like it? And figure some of that out. You got to be thinking.
Yeah, you have to think about that. Here's the other thing. I kind of went the negative side, but you also need to be cheering your kids on in this stage. When you see good things, when you see them make good choices, when you see them excel at something, when you see them do great on the ball field or on the court, you got to cheer them up. You got to tell them, man, I'm proud of you. Or you see them make a great choice. Like we've seen, our kids serve at like Johnny Camp. We've seen our kids serve here at church. We try to tell them thank you. I try to tell people when they say, hey, I love what I see in your kids. I try to tell people, go tell them that.
Yes.
Because they need to hear it from other adults. Here's the other thing. I don't know what everybody's family structure is, but we believe that we are a community church. And man, I want to encourage your kids. I want you to encourage my kids. We are in it together. And so feel free to coach my kids. I have no problem with that. I mean, within reason, I don't want you to tell them to go root for the Dodgers, but coach them up. So, I think that's what we all need. We need that community of people around us.
Right. It used to be 7-1. Now and then I hear 8-1. Now I'm hearing 10-1. You need positive comments, 10 versus 1 negative. It's easy to pick out the negative with our kids or do the correction piece, or I didn't like that all the time. That's free. I'm proud of you to stop at night. Say, I saw that. You make that play. I saw how you text that friend, right? You're having that conversation with, great job making the effort, preparing for that test. I'm proud of you. And you're being, thank you for serving. You thank them for being a part. Like our kids, we're encouraging them to serve and be a part of the church in that way, as our youth should be.
Yeah.
We want them to be involved. They have a place. They have giftedness. So those positive comments, I love it. I've told that story before when my daughter Cameron at one point was frustrated with me, and I said, I love you. She's all, I know. You tell me every day. Hey, I would rather have it be that way than I never heard that from my dad. So caregiver, you're setting all the direction. Coach, there's a blend here. You're allowing them to make some decisions. You're keeping the guardrails. You're helping them work through that. And then as they move into adulthood, parenting doesn't stop. You're still a parent. Counseling. Give us that for just a moment.
Yeah, I think the goal, and this is something I pray about a lot, is at some point the coaching stops. Like you and I've had interns. At some point they either move into a different role or they become your friend. or we've done student ministry too, right? So like eventually they graduate, and over time they end up being people you do ministry with or life with. They're not your student anymore. They slide into a different spot. And I think my hope and my goal is for my own children, my prayer is that I have earned the right to be a person of counsel for them. Yeah. I just feel like that's something I have to earn the right for, that they want to come back to me for, Dad, how do I handle this? Dad, it's hard right now. Dad, I mean, I don't think I'll have any money for them, but they might come back for me for money. But, I hope that I don't lose that position. I hope I coach them well enough to know that I'm going to be available to them to give them wisdom, encouragement, counsel. Even a hard conversation, I hope that I don't lose the opportunity to say, hey, I think this might not be the best choice, and that I don't lose. I really feel like I can lose that. If I coach them too hard, if I force them out of the house, if I do something the wrong way, I feel like I don't want to lose that opportunity to lose that place to speak wisdom into their life.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
totally. Um, how you coach, the decisions you make, the relationship you have, the investment you make is going to determine so much if they come back to you as a sounding board, right? As they're on their own 2 feet. You don't want them tethered, as we said on Sunday, to you forever.
Right.
But I'm so thankful in my parents, I'm able to go, I know you feel this way about some of your family members. I'm able to go back to them and say, hey, you've seen this before. How'd you handle it? Can I get your wisdom? Can you pray for us? I have to stand on my own 2 feet as an adult. They let me lead my family, but I can go to them and seek wisdom. And how we do relationship with young kids determines if we're going to have that position, how we have integrity or don't have integrity, what our character's like, what our kids see from us, the words that we speak to them sets us up to either have that third piece of counsel, which is their choice. Then we choose to be the caregiver. We have to do that. We need to be a coach. That's
Right.
our responsibility. It's their choice whether to come back to us and give us that space in their
That's
life.
better said than I did.
So-
Said it. And so yeah, parenting's hard. It's something I pray about. I say sorry a lot. I say sorry a lot. I say sorry for the words that come out of my mouth. I say sorry for my tone of voice. I say sorry for volume level at times. And there are tears on both sides of those conversations. We just had one with one of our kids a couple days ago, where, I stepped into some heartache by accident. I didn't know it was a thing. Sometimes it sneaks up on you and you're like,
it
oh,
totally does.
yeah. And so I try to parent humbly. I try to coach humbly as best I can. And obviously, Jen does it perfect. So, but no, I just kidding.
I'll just say this,
Yeah.
going on what you said. I have said to my girls, hey, I messed up. I'm sorry. And I said, I just want you to know, I'm human. I will say this to them. I'm human. I mess up. That is not who God is. I want them to be able to separate those two. And I have to be able to apologize and own my stuff and for them to hear that, because I don't want them to relate who God is as perfect, with me and tie that together, because I'm going to mess up.
Right.
And if that's their view of what a father is like and they put that on God, that messes up their relationship. So I separate those two at times, and when I have to apologize and make a mistake.
And I try to get better, right? We're not just apologizing because we're apologizing. We try to get better.
Yeah.
So, that's when an apology really matters, that we change behavior or we approach a situation from a different angle than we did before. So.
Well, hey, I love this topic. We could talk for hours about that, sharing our own family histories, the blessing we've had from parents in our lives, things we've learned from other parents and pastors, how they do things. There's so much of this, but hopefully this is helpful. Community Christian will continue every year in different ways to talk about this role of parenting, because it's so significant about family, because family is God's idea. So for parents out there, grandparents, those of you investing in kids in any way, just know we're praying over you. Be encouraged. What you're doing just reaps great rewards. Leave a legacy, the legacy that invests in others. That's the stuff that carries on. So hopefully we'll see you on Sunday as we start Be Rich.
God bless you.